Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again. Thank you for the responses we've got. That's so much, even with this first program we did on communication moments. This is the Communication Moments SFCR channel, powered by me, or it could be by any one of my colleagues later on. Last time we spoke about business communications, different forms. And we talked about the personal, we talked about the internal, and we looked at the external. We shall expatiate on these at this point, and we will start with the personal, which concerns us. Because at the end of the day, it is an individual that makes up an organization. Thank you very much. Now, communication at the personal level, you are looking at the individual doing things, saying things, behaving to ensure that he or she puts up the optimum performance in an organization and build up good relationship with one another and communicate meaning. And the overall effect of this is that there will be adequate performance, there will be results, there will be productivity. Now, for the individual communication, there are two categories, two aspects, and these are basically the nonverbal communication, which is very important because it, at the end of the day, determines how an individual is perceived, and the verbal part, which is also very important. The verbal deals with, like we said, communicating the spoken word. You can also talk about the written word. And what are those things that come into play in this? Your ability to listen, your ability to perceive what is being said, your ability to see, of course, for you to work. Though in some situations, some handicapped people still do their work. You know, you perceive, you see, you speak, and then you write. Essentially for us, we are looking at the verbal aspect, which deals with speech. Speech in this case, we are talking about what are those things, those communication aspects which we say to make meaning, like receiving an instruction, giving an instruction, obeying a command, and passing an information to another staff. All these come under speech. As a matter of fact, without speech, most organizations will not work perfectly. You can say that speech is the fluid which oils the engine of the organization. So speech is very important, and it's important that the worker, an individual, knows much about speech in his or her communication in an organization. Thank you very much. So speech, in talking about speech, we have to have a level of control in what you say. It is indiscreet really for a worker to go on without control. As much as possible in speech, you have to keep it simple, keep it meaningful, and keep it short where it is, especially in formal communication. We are not really expected to lose control, to talk on and on. And that is where the other skill comes in. You have to engage in effective listening. You have to engage in effective listening. You have to want to know what the other party, either a superior officer or a colleague, is talking about. What is the meaning that he or she wants to pass across? So we have to engage in what is called empathetic listening. You listen, is a ping pong game. You listen, and from there you're able to communicate the meaning. You interpret what the person wants to talk about, and then you pass across the information you want to pass across. Even in our speech or in our speeches, it has to be controlled, it has to be meaningfully handled. What am I talking about? There are issues of paralanguage in speeches. You know, it defines, for instance, if you're talking to a discerning boss, the person who will know much about you, or if you're going for an interview, the person will know much about you through your speech. Do you want to talk all the time? Do you exert control on what you say? Are you excited about what you say? These are the things you have to control. No boss wants to work with a worker who talks back uh, unnecessarily to him or to her. So the paralanguage matters. The pitch of the speech matters. What level are you supposed to engage in that communication, depending on the communication field? Let's assume it's an informal gathering, maybe when you dress down on Fridays, yeah, is dressed down, so the speech itself is less controlled. But most times in organizations, we have to learn how to control our speeches, especially in formal situation, either in meetings, your interaction with one another, or your interaction with your superior, whatever it may be. Even if you're called up to make a speech, it has to be controlled. Thank you very much. So the pitch matters, then the quality of your voice matters. The quality of your voice matters. How do you speak? How do you communicate? Is it pleasing to the ear? Yeah, some of us have different tonations, some of us have different ways of talking. So it's quite important for us to, we can train our voices depending on how it is, because that's part of our identity. Then you don't have to be loud when talking to your colleague. The person can hear you. When you're addressing your boss or when you're in a meeting, you don't have to be loud. So the pitch also matters. You know, and more often than not, people enjoy good speakers. So we need to be able to know how to speak, how to engage in speech. And like we've talked about hearing, we need to engage in empathetic hearing. You listen. Through listening, you're able to get the meaning. And of course, while listening, those things you don't understand, you can take down notes, you know. We have a lot to cover in this series because this is just an aspect. We are still going to look at other aspects of verbal communication. We are still going to look at writing, so to say. We are going to look at that aspect of communication before we look into non-verbal communication methods. Thank you very much once again. We've received a lot of feedback from you and they're very positive. I believe this is a niche which we will need to cover, because without effective communication, most organizations don't function well. Thank you once again. Subscribe, introduce your friends to the channel, and we will get there all the same. Thank you and have a lovely day.